Okay, Mr. Hupp, if you would tell us your name and where you were, what year you were born, and tell us where you were born and about your childhood, if you would.
Okay. Yeah, William Hupp and I was born in Decatur, Illinois, and raised on a farm, and worked in a couple of airplane factories. But mostly all our work we had was just putting up hay on the beans, and our activity was we always played much softball. We could play with we had 6 boys, and we got up a team, and we played different teams, but that was real interesting. We got other boys to fill in.
Right, you almost had your own team,
So,
a full team.
we liked it, and our big activity growing up, there was a lot of pitching horseshoes and putting up hay, things like that. And when we finally got old enough to do it, but anyway.
What year were you born?
24.
1924.
So
So you went to school in Illinois.
Illinois.
Okay.
Went to grade school, didn't go to high school.
Okay.
And a little old school of about 18 people, and one year they was on a county track meet. We went down and we had I think 5 people involved in it, and we won the county tournament or at this running and 3-legged race.
Yeah.
I tried to run with one, but we couldn't keep it. But these 2 they had, it's just like they run that way all the time.
Yeah.
But we lived right across the street from a guy that had 22 beehives, and never had any problem with them. But one day, my brother was cultivating there, and them horses run away, and the bees all over them, and they got tangled up in the fence. They couldn't run, so we had a basket the beekeeper used. It was old one. I put it on over there, unhooked them and everything. It's strange. They didn't even pay attention to me, but the bunch of them headed over towards where the barn was. The bees followed them because they was trying to keep up with the queen bee.
Uh-huh.
And that's wherever she went, that's where they went.
Right.
And Dad and I, neither one got, or any of us got snow off because they wasn't looking for us.
Right.
But we had a little old school, and it was never had no outside activities. They probably did put up a couple of basketball courts, they but out on the mud. It'd be froze up in the morning, but then it thaw out about noon, it'd be slick.
Yeah.
Things like that. But we got along all right. but they we formed up one corner, and one of the neighbors, he formed. I think the owner had 120 acres, and I think he farmed it on the shares like we did, and he got an argument with the owner, and he fired him. So he come and asked us if we'd do the same place. And another one, the guy retired the farm, and we got him, took capital land too. But finally, when the war was going on, and they kept sending me a lot of, I can't, what status I was in, in 1A or whatever for drafts, or this, and I didn't call because they figured I needed him. Dad needed us for at home, and it was so. Anyway, went on and on. Finally, one year when he got one of them cards to fill out, I just put on there and said, "I'm ready when you are." We got a card in a hurry then. Dad didn't know anything about it, but he went down and talked about it. He said, "Well, he volunteered for that, though." But it was a different life.
Yeah.
A little old country, but
Right.
it grows bigger. I got the biggest bean distillery in the world at that time, but some English company finally bought them off of it. So we always had work in the fields, all that. So
Yeah. So then what year did you go into the service?
44.
Okay. And then you were in the Navy, so you volunteered for that, correct?
Yeah.
And where did you train? Where did they send you for training?
Great Lakes. And it says to Green Bay area, what they call it. That's where the people went to, the ones that bring it in needed a lot of dental work done, which I was one of them. And it was strange the way they done that sometimes. They had their papers, they'd bring, said, "Come in." They give me about 10 shots. He said, "We'll call you in here in a little bit." Well, it was about an hour. And when they pulled them, they would file out some bones and all. And I think that I still got the upper plate. It's been relined several times, but the Navy life, you always had plenty of food. You had plenty. People got sick on the boats, but yeah, overall, if they had it all to do over again, I would have went in a little earlier. But
yeah. So after Great Lakes, where did they send you?
Yeah, we, it was pretty interesting up there. We had a firefighting school, a big old building with grates in it like on a ship. They'd throw a torch in there, fire then, and I think it's 6 of us on a hose. The guy would go up front, then the next time in he'd be on the back, and they went all the way through. And I found out that one of the safest was in the front with a hose, because he could keep pushing that fire away from him.
Right.
And one thing they wanted to show us, I think they use it a lot now, but they had something that just been designed or made. It was like a little gun, and you put 2 pieces of steel together, bang, and it'll go through the 2 of them, then stop. And that was their first. The Navy had the first of any of them guns on there like that. That was always interesting.
Yeah.
But
So then, after your training at Great Lakes, where did they send you from there?
California.
Okay.
Marijuana, California. Strange thing, when I come home on a 10-day leave, why they said a lot of times that people use 10-day leave like this, they run out of money before they tend to want to borrow money from their parents or somebody else. They said, don't do that, because your check will be waiting there when you get back. Got back, there was no check. And we got on that train and headed for Mare Island, California. And that's where we finally got some money. But it was interesting, though. I don't know what else to really tell you about it.
Well, then from California, where did you go?
We finally went to Pearl Harbor. Actually, it wasn't all over yet, but we had a little engine trouble, and we had 4 engines, and only one of them was running by the time we got to Pearl Harbor.
So you, what kind of ship were you on?
Submarine tender.
Okay. Do you remember the name of it?
Pelias, P-E-L-I-A-S. And it was in the Pearl Harbor during that invasion, but they didn't bomb them. They didn't think had enough force of the submarines to do any damage. So, but they done a lot of damage. In fact, the one submarine that was attached to us, I think he was credited being sinking more cargo, or what I want to call it, than any other submarine. And so we was kind of proud of that.
Yeah, sure. So what was your job on the tender?
Oh, always in the engine room doing something. And, it wasn't anything to do with battle or anything, but and underneath the engines they had a lot of soot and grease and stuff. It kept building up, so we had to go in there and strip off, take a big handful of rags, get the other end, then start pushing. pushed off. But he got to where the engine would work again.
So then, from Pearl Harbor, where did you end up?
We just went. Next time we went to Midway.
Okay.
But everything was done when we got there.
Okay. So were they still flying in and out of Midway? Was there an air base there?
He was, yeah. But we had never moved. We generally just sat anchored in some port, and the submarine had come to us.
Right. Okay. So you were anchored at Midway, and how long were you at Midway?
I'm not exactly sure. Probably 6 months or so.
You're talking about the Goonie birds at Midway.
Yeah.
Can you tell us about that? I've heard stories about that before.
Yeah, they walk around a little thing on the little deck. And they didn't bother nobody, but they was a lot of them there.
Did they interfere with the planes flying in and out any?
Well, they didn't seem to. I don't think they done much flying. If it hadn't been the flying, it was some other birds where they would made a lot of trouble.
Right. So when the war ended in August of '45, when they dropped the atomic bombs, where were you at that time?
I think we must have been in. I think I was back home then.
Okay. So you'd already gotten back from Midway at that point.
Yeah.
Okay.
And they say this, I don't know if it's true or not, but they say that the navigator on the ship that leads it got mixed up on the directions or something, made a mistake somewhere or another, and he ended up in the middle of the Japanese fleet. They were at Midway.
Oh man.
This was early, and when that battle really decided the war, because they was ready for it this time.
So you were in the Pacific about a year?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the only ocean we did hit all the time somewhere. He'd been to Australia before I was on it,
but what's maybe the most memorable experience you had during World War II?
I don't know what's anything is could be. But we worked. We didn't do the maintenance work on the boats, motors, but we had a lot of it was so big you could stand inside of it. The piston and the thing weighed about 3,000 pounds.
Oh man.
And we was in there working on it one day, and you have to have air pressure to kick it, turn it on to launch the fire, I guess, start up the engines. And two of us there, one of us in the engine working a while, the other was changed. And he was in the inside of the engine. We heard the air come on. So I don't know whether I was quicker than he was, or we both. He was out there about that quick. We went up and said, "What's going on up here?" They said, "Oh, we wasn't going to turn it on. We had no idea he was going to turn the air on." And that scared us.
Yeah, sure. Well, then what year did you get out of the service?
46, I just got out.
Okay. And then when you got out, where did you go after you got out of the service? Did you go back to Illinois?
Back to Illinois. And we was he had this thing had done a lot of work on all around us. In fact, when we got on us, they was moving, making different departments. Had a lot of people, burners and the welders. So as soon as we got to the ship, why, when you got there, you was busy. You stayed on that job with the burners or where it was 24 hours. But then they would get another to go to the next 24. But it was.
So you were on duty 24 hours at a time?
Yeah. But yeah, you've probably heard a lot of stories about shipyard workers. You better get out of the way when the whistle blows, they'll all run over you. And some of them, one of them, I don't know whether the guy ever did get back when I was there on one shift. But it was different.
You sure? So in what year did you get married?
44.
Okay, so you were in the service. Was it before? Did you get married before you went in, or while you were in?
I come home on that 10-day leave
Yeah.
and got married.
I see.
That's one of the last ever. Then we went back up to Chicago to send us to Marietta, California. And it took, but just from San Francisco to California, that boat took 10 days. It was pretty slow.
Yeah. So how long did it take you to get to Pearl Harbor?
10 days.
Oh, from California to Pearl Harbor was 10 days.
10 days.
And how long was it from Pearl Harbor to Midway?
I couldn't tell you on that, but it wasn't
Wasn't as far?
no great big distance, but this things going on a lot, but nothing big.
Yeah. How many submarines would a tender maintain?
We probably, I think we had about 5 of them. You know, of course, we had a lot of tenders. They would had a certain number of submarines attached to them, and they would take care of them. And the little things we done was they was working on was a little. They would shoot the diesel fuel into it. Had a little piston thing there. We'd have to I don't know what they used it. We just rubbed it together all day long to see, and it took that long to get one of them ready, but we always had plenty of them. But
Very cool. Is there anything else you'd like to tell us about your service?
I can't think right now. Sometimes my brain don't work.
Yeah, I understand that. After the war, then, and you were married, what did you do for a career after the war?
I went to work at a Chevrolet garage.
Okay.
Just started in there on the grease rack, which was a very popular place to work. But finally got with a man, and he was training me. Took training with him, and I done work afterwards. Later, I worked with two guys that had been in service. They was running the garage, so I hired in there. Worked for several years for them.
So you worked as an auto mechanic?
Yeah.
Awesome. And how many children do you have? How many children do you have?
7.
7 children.
6 girls.
Very cool. Well, I appreciate your time, and I appreciate you taking the time to do this, and I thank you.
I thank you. If you find enough stuff on there that's any good, but
all right, thank you. Okay, Mr. Hupp, you had a couple of brothers that were in the service as well. Can you tell us about them?
The one after I enlisted, and he enlisted too later, and they sent him to South Carolina for paratrooper training. But then when he got shipped overseas, they put him in the infantry. This was just before the war ended, and they was running, trying to keep up with the Germans, because they was running away from us. They was whipped and they knew it. But all of a sudden they come to this place that opened up around the outside, and our troop right out there in the middle. And brother got killed instantly. April the 6th of 45.
So we're very close to the end of the war.
Yeah. Just a few days. And he had one in the Coast Guard. He was stationed in Boston, but they found him alongside the road, unconscious, and they took him to the hospital, and he must have been there quite a few days, because we come from California on them trains. I went from California to Decatur, and then I went back to Chicago and up to Boston. He was still there, alive a few days, but they said there was nothing they could do, and but anyway, they was asking different ones about him, if they'd seen him that night. One one fellow from Texas, I don't know what his name was, but he said, yeah, I saw him about 2 o'clock in the morning, and said he was drunk. And my brother-in-law reached over and grabbed him a shirt collar, and he said, you lying so-and-so. That boy never did drink. He said, yeah, you're right, he didn't. Why he lied like that, I don't know. I don't know whether they ever checked him out or not. But
So you lost 2 brothers during the war.
during the war, yeah.
I'm sorry to hear that.
And we've got, I don't, picture, there the
Yeah, there's some pictures.
Okay.
picture.
I'll take a picture of them.
Now Keith, he's the oldest, so he's the one that did the Coast Guard and never did know what happened. Dale, he had acute respiratory disorder. It put him to sleep for a couple of hours, then wake him up and do what they could, put him back to sleep. They never could cure it. I was with his son. We walked the hallways, and one day they called code blue.
Oh.
This, so what section was? We knew that was the section that he was in, and he didn't last very long. But just. But I guess he spent more time in the Coast Guard than any of us spent in the Navy or Army. But
Thank you. If you don't mind, I'll take a picture of you 4 brothers there.
okay, that'd be fine.
Thank you.